Welcome to the fourth and final episode of this special mini-series for Tools for the Trade with my guest Mike Greene. The previous 3 weeks we've been looking at all sorts of things, trying to get off the tools, little bits of advice on training yourself before others. Ultimately, where do you want to get to? This is the episode where we're going to wrap it all up, summarise it, so you can take away key points and tips and advice to expand your company in construction. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
Got to try and do this in about 10 minutes, so let's go. Right. Key first point. Someone's watching this. I've got a construction company with 1 staff or 21 staff, whatever it is. What are the first points for them to think, okay, I need to expand? Where do I start? In quick summary.
Key point is always, where are you going? If I was coming here today, as I did from Peterborough, or you were coming up to Peterborough, you would probably want a sat-nav or maps, and you would want to put the postcode in. The minute you've done that, the map can be worked back, and you only then need to focus on your next turn, okay? Without that postcode, you could be driving in the wrong direction. You may be going generally in the right direction, but take a wrong turn. Now, how does that come to business? Most people are ambling. They're looking at the next day. They're ambling through. Where are you going to be in a year's time? Exactly. How many jobs, average order value, number of people employed, what's the turnover going to be and the profit from that turnover. If you don't nail that, write that, lock that in, you're just going to amble through the days. And if you have a bad day, you're not going to pick yourself up tomorrow because you're going to be, there's no direction to drive you, if you like. So get in written goals. There is so much evidence for this now that the 3% that write their fucking goals down earn not 20% more, 20 times more than those that don't have written goals. Why the hell then wouldn't 90% of the population write their goals down? And yet still, the biggest single thing I have when I'm mentoring people, we have a 1-page mapping system, a 1-page plan, which is where's your current state, where are you today? Where's your future state, where do you want to be in a year or 3 years? What areas have we got to work on, and what actions and initiatives will get us from where we are to where we want to be? Still, I struggle to get them to write those goals down. Why? Because they're scared of locking it down onto paper. Why? Because then I'm going to hold them accountable to that. They're going to hold themselves accountable to that. If they tell their partners are going to say, you said we'd have £1 million within a year. You said we'd take the kids to Disney within a year. You said we'd be able to buy a new house or buy a house, kind of thing. They're scared of writing it down. Set a goal, a clear destination, not a woolly one, not I want to do better, I want to grow sales, £1 million sales at 18% margin, 12 months from today. Average order value of, if you're a plumber, 3,200 on boilers, or if you're renewables, 15 grand, or whatever it is. But write those numbers down, lock them in. Don't worry too much about the how to at that point, but lock in written, clear goals. And then your brain will, or you have your conscious, your subconscious, your creative subconscious. The minute you lock it in, like a sat-nav, it can work it out. Yeah. Your creative subconscious then says, like a taxi driver, okay, I can see we could do that route, we could do that. And if you take the wrong turn, your creative subconscious will say, you ain't fucking getting there on that time if you do that. Or if you get distracted in business, your brain will start bullying you and say, you said you'd have £1 million in a year. You said you'd take the kids to Disney. You said you'd do that. I cannot stress enough the importance of writing down a clear goal that you absolutely believe in and buy into, even if it's a bit scary.
But take a pause, take a breath, invest in yourself first before you start looking at staff or expansion. Just to talk about what we've looked at in previous episodes.
Well, to look at that, the minute you lock in this destination, your brain, your taxi driver, if you like, because it's often called the taxi driver, the creative subconscious, because the first thing a taxi driver wants to know is, where are you going? They assume you're going to have the funds to pay, so there is a price to pay, and then they'll say, is there a deadline? Oh, I'm going to King's Cross, have you got a certain train? Once we've got that, they're immediately going to think how, and that was one of the previous episodes. Yeah, okay, if you want that, how are we going to do that? One of the biggest hows is, have I got the capability, personally, within my team, to get from here to there? And if not, I need to learn some shit. And that is about self-invest. I might need to read a book. I don't like reading. Oh, stay broke then. I'm not a good reader. Listen to it on Audible then. Go on a training course. If you do not change, nothing will change. So it's really simple.
That's the next point. If you want to have someone saying, come on, why haven't you done this? You're late doing this. If you want the cold, hard truth, just carry on doing what you're doing. But if you've got a very clear goal, you're going to have to make changes. You can't carry on doing as things are.
Well, and often as a mentor, and I'm known as a bare knuckle mentor, first thing I'll say is, how are you getting on with the plan? And the whinging will come up. You can either be a winner or a whinger. You can't be both, kind of thing. And they'll come up with excuses. I know if somebody postpones a meeting, there's a good chance it's because they haven't done the work. If they postpone a second meeting, I know there's a problem. Because when you've done what you need to do to get to that step of your journey, and we're talking about little things from month to month. It's not life-changing. It's little bits that lead to big wins. But if they've achieved it, they want to meet because they want to say, oh yeah, I've done this, Mike, and I tried what you said on the selling, and I've got so much more value, and I've employed this guy, great, he's taken so much pressure off me, and so on. Get someone who's going to hold you to account. Really, no bullshit, hold you to account. Call out your bullshit. But also, be able to look you in the eye and say, well done, mate. I don't mean it patronisingly, but I'm really fucking proud of you. And look, if you can do that in 1 month, what do you think you can do in a year? And if you can do that in a year, where do you think we can be in 5? You can change your life in a decision.
That was my next question. I think the key thing is we're sitting here, so I stay with my trade head on. There's a big lot of work out there. The good people I know are booked up for 1 to 2 years. So people watching this are thinking, okay, I've taken on board everything Mike said. The key question now is, what realistic time frame should I put on where I want to get to? Now, I appreciate that's very vague, but some people are probably thinking, can I do it next month or next year, or is it 5 years? As a general rule of thumb, when people come to you, what sort of time frame do you put in place for them to get where they want to get to? Because the key thing is them not thinking, I'll do it next week. So,
and that's a really important, the time frame. I love the saying that we often overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, but underestimate what we can do in 5. Okay, right. I always work on 3-year mapping, partly because if I said to you, where do you want to be in a year, Andy, you'll be thinking on building on where you are and think, there's inflation and we've got to change the government, and bloody hell, what if Labour get in, or what if the Tories stay in, or whatever it is, and we incrementalise it on a 1-year goal. On a 3-year goal, it's still sort of believable, but we dream a little bit, we stretch our possibilities a little bit. 10-year goal is so far away that I might not even be here, I might be dead. 3 years is often considered to be the optimal period. But then once we've got the 3-year destination, we break it down to, okay, if we can do that in 3 years, what can we do in the next 4 quarters? And then we break that down and say, if we got a 4-quarter plan, what have we got to do in the next 3 months? And if we got a 3-month plan, what we can do in the next 4 weeks? So we start with the end in mind, but we boil it back. And it takes every single day taking some action. But when you break it down from a big, hairy-ass goal in 3 years, it's tiny decisions, choices. But it starts with a decision today to lock in that goal. I'm not giving up. And do you know how when you set a sat-nav and it says you'll be there at 9:10, we all want to beat the sat-nav. That's another benefit, a superpower of writing it down and locking in a date to it, because you then want to beat the date. But if you've not written a destination down or put it in your sat-nav, and then you've not given yourself a time, or you've allowed too much time, fuck it, I'll stop for a coffee, or I'll leave tomorrow. You've got to set a time scale that kind of is a bit uncomfortable and makes some hair stand up on the back of your neck, where the reward is big enough to make the journey and the effort worthwhile, but that requires action today. I could do with losing some weight, and I'm doing this mountain in 2 months, and I will lose the weight. I've done it before. I've climbed 6 mountains. I can fast. I can do different things. But if I say to myself, right, Mike, you got 8 weeks, 2 months, you got to lose this weight. I'm then thinking, okay, the decision of what I make for lunch will determine that. But if I said, Mike, you got to lose 2 stone in a year, I'll probably do nothing for 3 months. So it's got to be a time scale that makes you take action today, but gives you enough time to get transformational change. That said, I have helped many businesses, not just me, Tony Robbins, I did Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. You can, I believe, I have achieved, I've helped people 10x their business in a year. Because often small, big change decisions change the world. There is no one who's listening today that cannot, as a minimum, quadruple their business in a year. And if they don't realize that or believe that, it's because they're thinking like they've always thought and doing what they always do and expecting to quadruple it with what they already know. You can do it, but you need to change some shit. You need to do some shit. You need to learn some shit, and you need to take action. Because if you think it's just going to happen, you know, I'm going to pay for some training. Great, but that ain't no fairy dust. You might learn the skill, but you still got to put in the work. You know, it comes down to you. Step up, man up, take action. When you're really taking action, you start getting little results. It's like drinking 5 cans of Red Bull a day, which I don't recommend, by the way. But it's like you don't need energy drinks or any of that stuff when you have a purpose and you know you're taking the right steps. Honestly, the mental, physical energy that is instilled in people when they're chasing down a goal, no amount of external substance can give people the passion, purpose, and speed that they get from working towards a goal that's worthwhile and they can see and believe.
Mike, thank you. Absolutely fantastic. And I think if you're sitting here watching this thinking, right, I actually want to make a difference, I want to change, I want to grow my company, I want to improve myself. If you've got a question, Mike has very kindly said that he will reply to it. So if you're watching this on YouTube or another network, please put the question in or contact us through social media or the website, and Mike will come back to you. Absolutely. I've been inspired. I hope you have as well. Mike, thank you for the last 4 episodes.
Pleasure.
I believe a brilliant way to start Tools for the Trade. Thank you for watching, and next week we're going to be starting just the one-off question. So any question you've got, if you've got a bad back, help with tax advice, do I lease or rent a van or do I buy one, send them in. This is what we're here to do, to give you free advice for you to take away on Tools for the Trade.